Welcome to the Stronger Marriage Podcast. Today we are talking love languages from the book, The 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman. We're excited about talking what love languages are and why they are essential to knowing what your spouse's love language is to making your marriage good. Excited that you're with us today. Let's get rolling.
Let's go.
Welcome to the Stronger Marriage Podcast with Trey and Lee. On this podcast, you'll hear real topics about real life that cover everything from married sex to raising kids to loving your spouse so much that you're willing to forgive them for occasionally being the most annoying person in the world. Trey and Lee have raised 4 boys, been married over 30 years, and somehow still really like each other. And now, live from the metropolis of Childress, Texas, a place so flat you can watch your dog run away for 3 days. Here are your hosts for the Stronger Marriage Podcast, Trey and Lee Morgan.
Hey everybody, glad you're here.
Hello, hello.
All right, I'm going to bring up a big one right at first here.
Oh, a big one. Okay.
Yeah.
What you got?
Last week you mentioned maybe our intro is getting old.
I don't know. I guess it's getting old to me.
Yeah, and then I had 2 or 3 people this week mention something about the intro and how much they laugh at the dog run away for 3 days. And so I don't know what you guys think about the intro, but I'm still enjoying it. We're going to give it another month or so, and then we'll change it up. But I kind of like that.
Just fast forward through it if you can.
That's exactly right.
I'm tired of it.
We'll get us another one built sometime. That will be pretty cool. Glad you're with us. Love language is what we're talking about today, but a couple of things on the Morgan's radar. We are now officially empty nesters.
We are.
Last week we were almost. This week we are. A little bit interesting, touchy subject. Can I bring that up for a second?
Yeah, you can bring it up.
Okay, I don't want you getting emotional on me on the podcast. Yeah. Our little puppy has been a little bit emotional, or our dog, because he sleeps with Cooper. And so he's kind of been watching, like, where has he gone? But, yeah, we have been empty nesters, new stage in marriage for about a week now, or for about 3 or 4 days now.
Yeah, it is definitely different. I don't think it's quite sunk in yet, and we're going to see him again tomorrow, so that's helping.
We got to go do parent orientation. We're not helicopter parents.
No.
But yes, and so it's kind of a new stage for us. We're going to talk about that in a couple of weeks. Next week is anger. We've been promising that one, and then in a couple of weeks we're going to talk about the different stages of marriage, which are before kids, having kids, after kids. And I guess there's another one in there somewhere.
Yeah, retirement.
And so we'll talk about that. And the 4 stages works best if you can navigate and plan for those. And we've tried for a while to be ready for this stage of marriage, and I'm excited about it. We're going to Dalton, Georgia this weekend.
Yeah, I'm excited. We haven't done a workshop in a while, so.
We haven't. We've been in Lubbock. We did one there. And this one's in Dalton. We haven't spent a lot of time in Georgia, so we're excited about going to a new place. We've got a full house. We are limited on how many people we can have because we're trying to social distance safely, and so we can only do 50 couples, and we're filled up, so we're excited about that. We are coming up to Andrews, Texas, and Amarillo, Texas, toward the end of this year, and so we're also excited about those as well. So it's going to be good. We're looking forward to it. Love languages. Why has this been important in our marriage, Miss Morgan?
Oh, man. Saying I love you is important, of course. Everybody wants to hear their spouse say, I love you. But showing love is absolutely essential in marriage. Love can be expressed and received in all 5 of the love languages. But if you don't speak your spouse's primary love language, that person might not feel as loved as they want to. Even though you may be speaking all the other 4 really well, if you're not speaking their primary love language, then they're going to feel like something's missing.
So if I'm telling you every day how much I love you, but I'm not speaking your love language, that may still be a struggle.
Yes.
Because it's love is something that it's an emotion that you're going to show. not just say. Saying it's important too.
That's right.
But we want to make sure that we're doing those things. It's been good for us in our marriage because we're very different people. And of course, as always, our love languages are very different. And just like in most marriages, what is kind of toward the top of my list isn't toward the top of your list, and vice versa.
That's right. I like it when you show love in all 5 of these ways. But, yeah, I do have a favorite. Yeah, so I have a favorite, and it's important that Trey knows the way I like to be loved, and it's important for me to know the way he likes to be loved. So we've taken the 5 love language test.
We have, and we've put it on social media.
Yeah.
If you are following us on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, there is a post and a link to where you can go take this little test for free. It takes 3 minutes. It's free. And even if you think, well, I know what mine is, or you may be going, well, I like all 5 of these. That's fine, but take the test because you never know.
It takes Trey 3 minutes. It takes me a little bit
Okay,
longer.
all right,
So
maybe a little bit more.
It is short, though. It really is.
It doesn't take a long...
No.
What we're trying to say is it's not going to take all afternoon for you to take this little online test.
No,
But
it's
do
short.
this so that you can know yours and you can know your spouse's. But you're going to have to get your spouse to cooperate and do this as well. We actually did this with all our kids. We sent this to them and said, hey, we want y'all to take this test so we can learn some more about y'all and what y'all want from your marriages and stuff. And they did. And so that was fun. And it didn't kill them, and it's not going to kill you to take that test.
No, it'll be very, very beneficial to your marriage if you know what each other's love languages are.
That's exactly
So
right.
let's talk about the first one.
All right. What of the first 5 are we going to cover?
Okay, words of affirmation. You like this one.
This one is probably my love language. My top thing is words of affirmation, or praise, if you want to call it. And there are a lot of people who fall into this category. In fact, I saw a comment today from a lady who said this was by far her greatest. And she found it also interesting that anytime she gets criticism that's not really constructive from people, that it just crushes her because this is such a big love language to her.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. And, even though this is not at the top of my list, it's still very important to hear words of affirmation. So, yeah. Ways that you can do this, just simple things like, thanks for taking out the trash.
That should be a common thing.
Yeah.
A lot of times we think if your spouse's love language is words of affirmation, you're thinking, well, why should I have to say thanks for taking out the trash? Or why should I have to say thanks for putting up whatever it is? Because that's their love language. They need praise. And that may not be what you need, but if that's what they need, whether you think that it's important or not, you do that because that's what your spouse needs.
Right. We've laughed before that a lot of husbands will come in to their wives and say, I took out the trash, or, I folded the towels, whatever it is. Well, if they do that to you, then chances are their love language may be words of affirmation because they're looking for that compliment.
They love when their spouse brags on
Yes.
them. And this is not just husbands, it's wives as well.
Yes.
And so if your wife's love language is words of affirmation, heap it on thick. And I have a friend that his wife has this as a love language, and he's struggled with it. I think he's better at it. But I would always explain to him, I said, she needs to hear that she's beautiful, that you think she's beautiful. And he would say, she is. She should know this. And I'd go, but she needs to hear it from you. And she needs to hear that she's a good mama and a good cook. And he would go, well, she is, and she should know this, without me having to tell her. And I said, no, but that her love language is the fact that she wants to hear it from you. So heap it on thick if this is your spouse's love language. Be good at giving words of affirmation. If it's your husband and he's mowing the grass, tell him the yards look great. Or just tell him, thanks, it's hot out there. Thanks for mowing the yards. Or cooking supper. If your wife has done something nice for you, just make sure hey, you look really beautiful today. Or you're a great mom or a great dad to our kids.
You always tell me thanks for doing the laundry.
Yeah, I try. But being being the fact that words of affirmation is my love language, I'm also really good at giving that.
Yes.
It comes pretty easy to me.
Yes.
But you do the laundry. I don't know how it works in y'all's marriage, but Lee does all the laundry. I don't do the laundry, but there are things that I do. I don't think she trusts me with her laundry, and so so she just does her own. But there's a lot of things that I do that a lot of folks might not do. You may be going, well, you lazy bum, you're not doing I iron all my own clothes.
Yeah.
But I like my clothes ironed a certain way.
You do it much better. You do a much better job with the ironing than I do.
There you go.
Sometimes you iron my clothes.
That's it.
Yeah.
You lay it out, I'll iron it for you. So
Another thing that goes along with this is do this in public. If your spouse like words of affirmation, man, if you can do this in front of somebody else and tell somebody else what a great spouse you have, that they really like that.
Can I tell you a time when you did that for me?
Tell me.
Okay, we're at church, and we're all standing around visiting one night after services are over, and I happen to be wearing a new shirt, and I think it may have been yellow. I can't even remember what color it was, but a lady in that little group where we were all standing around just kind of visiting for a few minutes said, "Oh, I like your new shirt, Trey. That yellow is a good color on you," and you said, "He looks good in any color." And I just remember thinking, I'm going to float out to the car. My wife thinks I look good in any color. Oh, man, I tell you what, my head blew up right then. But, yeah, that's, man, that was good to hear. But make sure you do that. You know, I have another friend that he remodeled his whole house for his wife, and he's very good at it. But I remember him being so frustrated. He said, I've worked my tail off on household projects and doing all this big remodel, and she never acts like I've done anything. She never tells me she likes it. She never tells me good job. They probably have never done the love language test, and she probably doesn't know that was important to him, and she probably was appreciative, but she needed to be vocal about that.
That's right. So yes, praise, affirm, encourage, build up, avoid criticism.
Yeah. Actions to take on this one, you can do things like send an unexpected note, text, or card, give genuine praise, and avoid just non-constructive criticism. That's an important thing. All right, so we've still got 4 more to go. What's next on our list?
Okay, so let's talk about quality time.
Quality time it is. And quality time was big on all our kids' list. And this is something that neither of us, I think we both like quality time, but it's not toward the top of our list because we get that so much with each other. Mm-hmm. I mean, we
do spend a lot of time
We spend
together.
a lot of time to each other, sometimes maybe too much time together. But we spend a lot of time together, and since all the quarantine stuff has happened, I didn't think we could spend more time together, and we have. But we also find time to not. But this is something we get and we love. We love our quality time together. But it's really important. And so let's talk what quality time is. Some of you may be going, well, I'm sitting in the same room with her, or I'm in the same house with my spouse. Does that count as quality time? And if your spouse's love language is quality time, giving him or her your undivided attention is really the best way to show them that you love them. It's not just about being present in the room with them, but being present and paying attention to them. And that's important. If the TV's on and your spouse comes in, maybe you need to pause it. Maybe you need to put down your phone. Maybe you need to do a good job at just communicating and having them understand that, hey, he's listening or she's listening to me, and that's really important.
Yeah.
We talk about that a lot, and I was a little embarrassed. We use this story in our book and in our workshop, that there was a time when you were trying. Well, I didn't know you were talking to me, but I was looking at my phone, and the next thing I hear is you say,
you didn't hear a word I said.
You didn't hear a word I said, did you? And I remember in my head thinking, that's a weird way to start a conversation. I didn't hear a word. And so we think we can be really good sometimes at doing multiple things at one time. Nah, we really can't. And so best thing we can do is, if your spouse's love language is quality time, pay attention. Go on dates. That's what, dating, to someone who has quality time as their love language is important because you're getting attention with them. They're getting you one-on-one without another person.
Yeah.
Double dates ain't going to get that done. You're going to have to go on a date, spend some quality time. Or if your spouse is got quality time toward the top of the list, do something with them they like to do.
Whatever it is that they like to do, they're going to want you to join in. If they like to go hunting, if they like to play video games, if they like to work out in the garden, if they like to exercise, whatever it is, they're going to be so happy if you will take an interest in it and if you'll join in with them. I mean, they may just want you to go to the grocery store with them. Just be with them. That's really important to somebody that has quality time at the top of their list.
And we'll say this, I'm going to say this on every point. You don't have to understand why your spouse needs what they need in order to be willing to meet that need. It doesn't have to make sense to you. And you may not feel that quality time or praise is important, but if it's important to your spouse, you give those things. So the best way to communicate is uninterrupted, focused conversation. Just be cautious about, create special moments together. Go for walks. Go on a date. Have a weekend getaway. And avoid distractions when you are together. And so that's important.
That is important.
Oh, here's a fun one. Okay. This one's one that doesn't get a lot of love.
Okay.
But there are people out there with this.
There are people. And, I think the last time I took the test, it was closer to the top than I remembered it being for me. But it's receiving gifts.
And I can see that because there are a few times where I've done things for you, surprised you with a little inexpensive gift and just left it like in the bathroom on the counter or on your dresser for you to find. And I remember thinking, man, she really got excited about that. And that I needed to do a better job at doing things like that. But receiving gifts is a love language. And someone, if that's their love language, they're not only good at it, but it's important that you give a well thought out gift.
And that's keywords there. It's got to be well thought out. If you just, bring them something that they have zero interest in, they're going to think, well, they don't know me at all. Why would they give me this?
And it's not about the price you spend.
No.
It is knowing your spouse and what they like. If your spouse's love language is gift giving, and on a birthday you're just zipping by for a second and grabbing a quick gift certificate to some random place, I don't know how well thought out that is. If she's asked for that or he's asked for that, that's one thing. But think some things through. What does your spouse like? What could you give them that would just make them feel really good?
Yeah, and this may require you to be an extra good listener.
Oh, that's hard.
If they, to tell you some things throughout the year that they like. You might have to make an actual note in your phone.
Yes.
Oh, she said she likes red roses or something, whatever it is.
Or cheesecake or something. Just make a note of things that your spouse likes. And then do those. If you know your spouse's favorite candy bar, grab that when you're at the grocery store no reason. Gift givers, you don't wait till you're in the doghouse to give a gift. You do it for no reason. Our friend Kristen, this is her love language, and her husband has had to learn through their years of marriage to figure out what Kristen likes, and she has a certain drink at Sonic that's her favorite, just the way she likes it. And he's learned that he can go through at happy hour and spend $1.09 on a Route 44. I can't remember what it was, Dr. Pepper with cherry and extra ice or something. And he can show up for no reason at her workplace where she teaches school with that. And he has just made her day.
That's right.
He has spoken her love language. He has told her, I love you so much, by just bringing a simple drink.
It makes the person feel like, hey, my spouse thought of me at a time that, that it wasn't expected. Now, yes, on birthdays, anniversaries, Christmas, any special occasion, if your spouse's love language is gift giving or receiving gifts, then they're going to expect a pretty great gift. But when you do something that's, on an occasion, there's no special occasion, then you really have done something great for them.
You don't let a Valentine's Day or a birthday or an anniversary or anything like that go by without doing something special, because that is a very, very important thing that you do that.
Yes.
Okay, do we have any more? Let's see, looking at a few notes. Yeah. All right. Let's talk acts of service.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we did.
Acts of service.
Let's talk acts of service. Why do you like this one?
I don't know, but it's my favorite.
It's your love language. Acts of service.
Yeah.
And you are very good at this love language. You are a very serving person, and you serve me well, whether it's doing my laundry or doing sweet things for me. That's just your love language. And I have had to learn through 32 years of marriage that
actions speak louder than words.
That actions speak louder than words to you. That's true. Yes. And if your spouse's love language is acts of service, then nothing speaks more deeply to them or more emotionally than you doing a simple act of service, whatever it is. And that's important that you just do that. I was reading earlier about a wife who made a comment, and she said, "I don't understand my husband. Acts of service is her love language." She said, "I don't understand my husband. Every day he tells me he loves me, but he never does anything to help me. He sits on the couch, he watches TV while I wash the dishes. It really never crosses his mind." She says, I get tired of hearing "I love you," and if he really loved me, he would get up and do something to serve me. Mm-hmm. And so that's somebody whose love language is acts of service, and you've got to do that. Her primary love language was that, and maybe he just never caught it.
Yeah. If your spouse's love language is acts of service, helping around the house is huge.
Yep. Whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And I have learned to try to keep your car filled up with gas.
Yes, I love that.
Yes. Oil's changed, car cleaned. We've said this a million times. You like the bed made every day. I'm kind of one of those guys that go, "Why are we making the bed? We're going to get back in it tonight." But I'll make the bed on occasion because that's part of your love language. And I've learned that. Grab a vacuum cleaner, do some dishes, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and when you do it without me having to ask you to do it, that is like extra points there.
There you go.
You just take the initiative and jump in there. And
one wife said recently that her love language was acts of service, and she said, "My husband came in today and said he was cooking dinner and doing dishes tonight." And somebody said, "Well, what's he cooking?" She said, "I do not know, but it smells like he's getting lucky later on that night." I mean, she was just so excited about all that. And that was a good thing. But acts of service, that's something that we've got to do a good job on. It's important that when it comes to acts of service that you look for little items. And if you don't know, I probably need to do a better job at this. I'm one of those that a lot of times I really don't know what you might need, and I show up and go, "What can I do to help you? What do you need me to do? Is there a chore I can do? Is there something you got going on?" Or sometimes I ask you to make a list. I know you got a lot of stuff going on today. Make a list of some things around the house you're doing, and I'll look through your list and see if there's some things that I can do to help on that.
Mm-hmm. And I appreciate that. That used to get on my nerves that you didn't just see what needed to be done, but I've realized that you didn't, and that was okay. You were willing to help, and I needed to be appreciative that you were willing to help.
We just got to learn to do all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
That's right.
All right.
So,
what's that last one
physical
down there?
touch.
Physical touch.
And this is pretty high on my list as well.
It is.
I like touch more than you do. They say most women like 10 non-sexual touches a day. And you probably go, "That's probably too much for me," or "I don't know that I need all that." But physical touch is important on my love language. And a lot of men, not all of them, but a lot of men, physical touch is, because physical touch also connects with intimacy. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people want that physical touch like babies are picked up and you just kind of love on them. That in marriage, love language and physical touch is, putting your hand on somebody's shoulder as they walk by, or touching your spouse's leg, or holding your hand as you're driving. I think I could hold hands all day long. I'd be pretty good with that. Or walking together and holding hands, or kissing, embracing, sex. That's all a part of that touching. Now, it doesn't always mean, if you're listening to this and you're a man and you're going, man, my wife's love language is touch. It doesn't mean she wants 10 sexual touches a day. Yes, walk through the kitchen and pat her on the rear end, but don't make all 10 touches pats on rear ends. You got to touch other spots as well.
That's right.
So be good at giving touch.
Yeah, and you mentioned it a while ago. There is a lot of emotional power in physical touch. You mentioned that's how we love on babies. They don't understand. Newborn babies don't understand when you say "I love you," but they understand that they're loved when you pick them up and hold them and cuddle them and those kinds of things. And it just makes me think of some of the stories in the Bible of Jesus and people he touched that he didn't have to, or even shouldn't have. The leper who was contagious, and he reached out and touched him. And there's a lot of emotional power that comes with physical touch.
The leper needed healed, but he also needed touched. Jesus gave him what he needed in both of those. The guy who was blind, Jesus touched his eyes. There's so much touch that's involved in the Bible that where Jesus touched people that I think sometimes we miss the importance of why that took place. There is a lot of power in touch. And if your spouse's love language is touch, it just may mean reaching over and patting them on the back, or touching them when you walk by, or something like that. I remember one time us working together on we had a service project we were doing, and we were serving a whole bunch of people in the kitchen, serving food. And I think I was filling plates and you were doing something else, and there was probably 10 other people with us working in this big kitchen. And I got to noticing, while I didn't even know where you were. In fact, I wasn't even sure you were in the kitchen. It was that busy. But somebody kept touching me. I could feel their hand run across my back, every few minutes when they walked by. And I finally got a chance to look up, and it was you. You would walk by and just rub your arm across my back as you walked by. And I just remember thinking, man, she loves me. I am so lucky. And later I told you about that, and you go, I didn't even notice. It is just something that once you start doing, get good at it to where you don't notice that you're even doing it. And that's a good thing. So nonverbal body language touch is important. Cuddling, if your wife needs to cuddle with your wife, okay? Or your husband. Your husband may be the one that likes to cuddle, hug, kiss, hold hands, show physical affection, make intimacy a priority. If your husband's love language is touch and there's very little or no sex in the marriage, that's hard. That's really hard. Of course, we say this a lot. Marriage is not built on sex, but it's hard to build a marriage without one, a healthy marriage without sex. And so that's an important thing. A happy spouse is one that feels loved by their spouse in the way that they speak love. You don't have to understand why your spouse needs what they need. It doesn't even have to be your need. But if your spouse needs any of these love language we've talked about, you should be willing to speak their love language and make them feel loved.
That's right. And so if you've not taken that test, we are begging you to please
do it.
Take the 5 love language test and
buy the book.
Yeah, read the book. Find out what yours is. Find out what your spouse's is, and then start speaking that on a regular basis. That is healthy
for your marriage. And I appreciate the Dr. Chapman and the 5 love language book. When we wrote our book, we wanted to quote several things. This has been so important in our marriage that we thought we need to share with you why it's been important to us. But we found ourselves quoting a lot of their material, and of course we had to write and ask them for permission. Hey, we're writing a book, but this has been so important to us that we would like to include.
We wanted to list
We
what
wanted
the
to
love
list
languages
the love
were.
language are, and talk a little bit about them. And their reply to us was, have at it, and blessings to you, blessings to your book. Our message is to get the message out about 5 love languages, and they were super supportive of us, and we appreciated that very much.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So and remember that the love languages apply to your children. Get a good idea of what your children's love languages are, and speak those to your children as well.
Yeah. If your child loves touch, give them lots of touch. You just speak your child's love language. I think we have kids that probably have all of those love languages, and you just meet those needs in that way.
That's right.
It is.
Yeah, this was fun.
It was fun. Let's do it again sometime. How about next week?
Okay.
All right, we will. And get that test taken. And we want y'all to take it and find out what your love language is and what your spouse's love language is.
All right. We'll see y'all next Wednesday.
Thanks for hanging out with us.